Okay, well, I think we'll get started. We've got a nice selection of folks here. I will introduce myself. So I'm Amber Thompson of AT College Consulting, and I am your caring educational consultant here in town. And I help students and families along their journey through high school, ultimately finding colleges that match their academic, social, and financial needs. My goal along this whole journey is to reduce the stress and emphasize the excitement and the potential of both the high school and the college years. I am a mom in town. I've lived in El Segundo for, I think, 12 years now. I have two older daughters who have gone through ESHS. One is now a grad student in England. The other is a freshman at a small liberal arts college in Ohio called Kenyon. And because I wanted to do middle school all over again, I also have a sixth grader at ESMS. So I've been thoroughly entrenched in ESUSD for many, many years, and hope that I can share my advice and my experience and my perspective, on the college landscape as a way to, inform all of you. So tonight I actually have two presentations to share. And one I built specifically with younger students in mind, and another is geared more towards the parents. And so first I want to approach this topic of transitioning and navigating from the student viewpoint. And then we're going to shift gears and talk about how you as parents can support your students through these early years. And my biggest goal is really to encourage a mindset that does not have you or your student worrying and fretting about every single decision and choice that you make in high school and how that might impact the future college search. I've been there as a parent. I've been fretting over, one single exam, and I, now can take a step back and that in the long run, that did not matter. But in the heat of the moment, boy, it sure felt intense. So I'm hoping to bring some of the, the calmness that I learned throughout this process, now being on the other side, and also being a consultant to, really reduce the stress and instead emphasize the excitement, the potential that we all have to look forward to.
And this is a conversation specifically geared for students. And we're here today to talk about ways you can successfully start to navigate the early years of your high school journey. And I know many of you are already starting to think about that end goal of going to college. Perhaps you've even had college on your mind since you were in kindergarten or elementary school. So I'm here to acknowledge that you're thinking about it and that you might have questions, perhaps even some stress surrounding your eventual college goal. So I want to talk today about the things that you can start to impact now that will set you up for success in the future. But I also want to emphasize that it's really important to enjoy your 4 years and not spend them worrying that every decision, extracurricular, every test is going to make or break your future college plans. So let's look ahead and start with a bird's eye view of what colleges are looking for in future students and focus on the areas that you have control over now. I created this graphic to demonstrate that high school is a period of growth and to reflect that colleges are looking for students who have strong GPAs, have taken classes rigorous for them, have demonstrated passionate involvement in their activities, and have the capacity for self-reflection, that ability to think about who you are, what brings you joy, and perhaps even the future impact that you would like to have. So let's dive into what each of these criteria mean. High GPA. That's kind of an easy one because it's really an indication that colleges are looking for you to have earned good grades throughout high school. And I want to emphasize that these are strong grades in the main subject areas of math, science, English, social studies, and your foreign language. And now, of course, PE and electives are all part of the high school experience, but I just want you to know that they carry a little bit less weight in the GPA calculations. So the A in PE is not going to give you, a big boost in the eyes of the college. They don't even really factor that in, but they want to see strong academic grades in those core classes. And they also want to see upward grade trends. So that means if at all you have a rocky start to high school, just know that you've got a couple of years still ahead of you to move your grades in the upward direction. So if you've started off with a couple of rough patches here, but you figure out how to get your assignments submitted on time and you're performing better in the classroom and those results are showing up in the grade book, that's wonderful. Colleges really want to acknowledge the improvement that you've made. So yeah, keep in mind that they want to see your grades going up. And of course, if you happen to start out really strong in high school, colleges, of course, hope that you are maintaining those strong grades throughout as well. The next factor is colleges are on the lookout to see that you have chosen classes that are appropriately challenging and rigorous for you. So colleges would much rather see that you take that harder, more challenging class, even if it means getting that occasional B. So colleges are not really impressed by the students who always choose the path that leads to the easy A. From their perspective, they know that college can be a challenging environment, and so they want to make sure that they are accepting and inviting students into their campus and into their classes who are ready for that challenging level of work. So they would like to see that you are taking on challenges that are appropriate for you. Of course, it's really important to keep in mind that college admissions folks want you to think about balance with all of this, though. So yes, they want to see you've challenged yourself, but not to the point where you are totally overwhelmed. And this is a great quote from Karen Richardson, who is Dean of Admissions at Princeton. And she says, try to find that balance between challenging yourself and overwhelming yourself. Teachers, parents, mentors, counselors, future admissions folks down the line, they don't want you to be in that state of overwhelm where you feel like you're in the weeds and you really don't know how you are going to succeed in that class. So they really are hoping that you are choosing the course that is, appropriately challenging for you with a full acknowledgement that balance is going to look different for everyone. And your needs are uniquely your own. And I always encourage, and I know it's hard, but if you can try to not compare your schedule with that of others, I think that can, give you a healthier mindset. You really have to choose the classes that are appropriately challenging for you. And I really want you to keep in mind that context matters. And this is one of these fancy admission terms that I hear every day, but I don't think that students and families hear enough about. And essentially what it means is that colleges cannot expect you to take a class that is not available at your high school. So if you have friends who are at other high schools or maybe cousins, and you may find out that they have an entirely different curriculum, whole different set of choices to make than you do, that's okay. Colleges look at what's available to you at your school, and then they see how you've challenged yourself in the environment that you reside in. And Karen Richardson, our Princeton Dean of Admissions, she says, I'm always looking at students within the context. I'm not expecting a student who goes to high school X to have the same curriculum as student Y, because different classes are offered. So I'm looking at each student within the context of the school and the curriculum that's available to them. So speaking of curriculum, it is important to take a look at what your high school offers and get a sense of what a 4-year plan might look like for you. I encourage you to pencil in some options, but to remain flexible as goals and plans can change. I do think it's important perhaps to, take a pen to those courses that are required for you. But when you've got options and choices, pencil in what you think you might enjoy along the way so that you can get a sense of what you have the time to fit in and what your options might be. I think a lot of students, when they're first entering high school, they see a lengthy list of requirements and they see a couple of choices that they get to make. And then it just goes into, straight overwhelm mode, because you wonder, hey, how am I going to have time to do what I want to do and to choose these electives? They look cool. I want to do that, but I've got all these requirements. So if you actually sit down and plot it out, on a 4-year grid, which a lot of high schools, provide you with, a piece of paper to do that. I think it can really provide peace of mind that, yes, you do have room and you do have time, and these are the choices and the room that you have to make for your particular schedule. So we've talked about the importance of having strong grades and choosing appropriately rigorous, challenging courses for you. So let's dive into some tips about how to keep those grades up and to prepare yourself for the challenge. So I want to start by really normalizing that it is okay to ask for help. Teachers, tutors, counselors, parents, they are all here to support your learning. You can ask them via email for assistance. You can talk to them in person. And it's a really great habit to get into, because if you can learn early on to seek out help when you need it, then you won't hesitate taking advantage of professor office hours in college, or going to the writing center to get help with your essay, or the quantitative center where they can help you with that calculus problem, or a physics, work set that you need to do. We all learn in different ways, and oftentimes a teacher or a tutor can adjust their explanation to help you better understand. So if you're struggling in a particular class, or you have some questions, or you're just not grasping a concept, head to your teacher first, see if they can perhaps explain it to you in a different way. If that's not productive, perhaps you can turn to a tutor who can hopefully specialize, customize the education to your particular needs. But I really want you to, find a comfort in knowing it's okay to ask for help, because students who eventually go on to college and take advantage of professor office hours and take advantage of all of the different tutoring resources that colleges have are definitely more successful students. Another great habit to get into is keeping a calendar where you can write down assignments, test dates, responsibilities, and commitments. Doesn't matter if it's a paper system or digital on your phone or your computer. It just needs to be a system you will regularly use. And it's great if you can check in with your parents to see if they can also perhaps streamline their calendar with yours. I know as a mom, I have often scheduled doctor's or dentist appointments for my kids, and I've kind of forgotten to tell them about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to go to the dentist. And my teens are like, you didn't tell me, Mom, I've got this going on. So if you can encourage your parents to also contribute to your calendar, so that also what they have expected or what they've scheduled for you, that can really go a long way in helping everyone manage time. And essentially, the main goal of managing your time effectively is so that you can prioritize sleep, exercise, and making room for downtime in your day, really to prioritize your mental health. Interesting fact that 80% of your time in college is actually spent outside of class. So that's a lot of downtime that you get to navigate. And so if you're learning in high school how to manage your calendar and your responsibilities, then you're going to have much better set of skills for managing your time and your downtime in college, so that you can be productive and take advantage of all of the opportunities in college. So we go back to that sunflower graphic. Another factor was passionate involvement in activities. And this is where I want to dispel the myth that colleges want well-rounded students. They need a well-rounded class of students, but they do not need a whole college full of students who are all doing 20 different activities. So yes, they need a class where they have students for their Dungeons and Dragons club. They have students who are going to be their physics majors. They have enough flute and percussion players for the marching band and the orchestra. They have students who are totally excited to be in their Shakespeare plays. So they need students who are interested in those different areas, but they don't need every student to be interested in all of those things. So I heard a really great analogy the other day that instead of being well-rounded like a ball, that you instead be like a star. And so you have a few distinct points about you that make you shine and that you are passionate about. And this is where I also want to take a few moments to discuss that extracurriculars are really way more than just athletics and your typical schools and clubs and community volunteering that we often think of as extracurriculars. So I really want you to expand what extracurriculars mean to colleges. Pretty much, if it's something you spend your time outside of schoolwork doing, then the colleges want to know about it because they see that that's important to you. You're spending your time on it, and they want to learn about, why you do that and how that makes you who you are. So in addition to valuing, of course, those traditional activities, the sports and the clubs and the volunteering, they also really enjoy hearing about students who are helping their families in any number of ways, pursuing their hobbies, or, maybe when you're a little bit older, getting a job. All of those show responsibility, commitment, as well as personal growth. So really expand your idea of what an extracurricular is. And I think that you'll probably see that you're much busier than you might think you are. And the colleges want to know about it. They want to hear about how it is you're spending your time because that's what makes you you. While you're spending your time, in these different spaces, I truly hope that you are finding and you're able to find your community. So those spaces where you are feeling comfortable being yourself and feeling confident in your growth in those areas. Another piece of that sunflower graphic was being self-reflective. And I think we could go back to the rigorous, challenging courses concept and understand that there's a lot of self-reflection there because you have to think, okay, am I ready for this particular challenge? Can I handle a little bit more work? Or perhaps, wow, I'm really overwhelmed. Maybe I need to dial it down. Maybe that was too much. So you have to be self-reflective in that construct, but also with your activities as well. And really, this transition to high school can be a time when you might be in between activities. For example, perhaps you've been playing soccer since you were 5. And now, after so many years of it, you might be questioning if this is still an activity you want to continue. You have to be self-reflective and think, is this how I still want to continue spending my time? And I know it can be really hard to let go of those activities that you've been doing for so long. But if they are not, fulfilling in a way that they used to be, and perhaps you would like, to free up some time to pursue a new activity or interest that you've just discovered you have. Obviously, there's a give and take there. So I really feel like, this can be really a big moment of transition that I want to acknowledge, that it definitely requires, some self-reflection to think about how you want to spend your time. I think all of us know Khan Academy. And so Sol Khan, who's the founder, he has some great advice. He says, you only get to live life once. So why not spend those high school years doing something that you really want to do, as opposed to thinking the admissions officers want to see. So you have to get beyond the Jedi mind trick because you can't get in their head. There's not one activity that's going to get you into school. So it's really about being self-reflective and to think about how the particular activities that you are making time for bring meaning, joy, and purpose into your life. I always like to end these presentations reminding you that you've got a solid team of supporters along the way. You've got teachers, coaches, counselors, mentors, and of course your parents and or guardians. Your team of personal cheerleaders, they want to see you succeed, and I encourage you to reach out to them whenever you need. Thanks so much for listening today. Again, this was Amber of AT College Consulting, and I wish you well and success in your high school journey.
All right, and that actually wraps it up, just shy of an hour. I do have a website that you can check out my resources. I have a lot of YouTube videos. Became a YouTube star during the pandemic. No, I have like 8 subscribers, but I always encourage you to check them out. And if anyone got their El Segundo Scene delivered today, I happen to be one of the writers there. So I write a college column almost on a monthly basis. This month was all about making the most of your college tour experience. All right, if anyone has any questions, I'm going to stop recording. Sure I am. Let's see. Stop recording. There we go. Stop.